Hey guys, here we are back for chapter 2 of the Tale of Despereaux. Chapter 2 is titled, Such a Disappointment. Wow, that word's come up a lot in the first few pages. We're on page 16 is where you'll find the beginning of this chapter. Despereaux Tilling lived, but his existence was cause for much speculation in the mouse community. "Well, he's the smallest mouse I've ever seen," said his Aunt Florence. "Well, it's ridiculous. No mouse has ever been this small, not even a Tilling." She looked at Despereaux through narrowed eyes as if she expected him to disappear entirely. "No mouse," she said again, "ever." Despereaux, his tail wrapped around his feet, just stared back at her.
"Those are some big ears he's got there, too," observed Uncle Alfred. "They look more like donkey ears, if you ask me."
"Oh, they are obscenely large ears," said Aunt Florence. Despereaux wiggled his ears. His Aunt Florence gasped.
"Well, they say he was born with his eyes open," whispered Uncle Alfred.
Despereaux stared hard at his uncle. "Impossible," said Aunt Florence. "No mouse, no matter how small or obscenely large-eared, is ever born with his eyes open. It just simply is not done."
"Well, his pa, Lester, says he's not well," said Uncle Alfred.
Despereaux sneezed. He said nothing in defense of himself. How could he? Everything his aunt and uncle said was true. He was ridiculously small. His ears were obscenely large. He had been born with his eyes open. And he was sickly. He coughed and sneezed so often that he carried a handkerchief in one paw at all times. He ran temperatures. He fainted at loud noises. Most alarming of all, he showed no interest in the things that a mouse should show interest in. He did not think constantly of food. He was not intent on tracking down every crumb. While his larger, older siblings ate, Despereaux stood with his head cocked to one side, holding very still. "Do you hear that sweet, sweet sound?" he said.
"I hear the sound of cake crumbs falling out of people's mouths and hitting the floor," said his brother Toulouse. "Well, that's what I hear."
"No," said Despereaux. It's something else. It sounds like honey."
"You might have big ears," said Toulouse, but they're not attached right to your brain. You don't hear honey. You smell honey. And when there is honey to smell, which, there isn't. "Son," barked Despereaux's father, "snap to it. Get your head out of the clouds and hunt for crumbs."
Get your head out of the clouds. That is an idiom. It means quit daydreaming. Snap back into reality. Get with it. "Please," said his mother, "look for the crumbs. Eat them to make your mamma happy. You are such a skinny mouse. You are a disappointment to your mamma." "Sorry," said Despereaux. He lowered his head and sniffed the castle floor. But, reader, he was not smelling. He was listening with his big ears to the sweet sound that no other mouse seemed to hear. I'm beginning to think that Despereaux is one very special mouse. He's hearing music that other mice don't seem to pay attention to. He's saying it sounds like honey. Can you imagine that sweet sound? Oh, what a lucky mouse this guy is to have those gifts. But I don't get the sense that his family views them as gifts. I get the sense that, as his mom continues to remind him, that Despereaux is a great disappointment. How sad. Let's see what chapter 3 has to hold.